How's it going, guys? Back with another video here. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Basically, I'm just going to be reviewing the trades that I took this past week on the challenge account that I'm doing. For those of you who do not know, I am doing a $100 to $1,000 challenge right now. If you guys are interested, I'll just briefly cover how you can enter here. Basically, to enter, simply sign up with my ref link. I am partnered with Bluffin. So if you want to sign up, if you sign up via that ref link, I do have that ref link on my Twitter, or it will be pinned in the description of this video. Simply sign up, deposit, and then you can set whatever amount of that deposit you want to copy trading. If you do it before the 27th of this month, you do get a 10% cash back bonus, 10% or whatever you put into the copy trading. So that does expire the 27th. So whatever you do, you have to get it in before the 27th to qualify for that. And then if you want access to the Telegram, if you're not already in my Telegram, if you want access to the Telegram where I drop the setups for this challenge, simply send me a DM and I will get you access. Also, I do open up spots randomly. But if you shoot me a DM, just send me your UID that you signed up with just to prove that you signed up via the link, and I will get you access to that. And please only deposit into copy trading what you are comfortable with. I don't want you guys putting in more than you're comfortable with, because there's always a chance the account could go to zero. As you can see here, we are up 47% in about a week here, started on the 18th. So far going pretty good. But like I said, please only deposit what you are comfortable with. I don't want you guys putting in more than you can handle. Now, when you do deposit and put it into copy trading, there will be an option, a couple settings you want to set. Simply set the settings to just copy. Basically, it says copy my leverage and copy my margin. Just set it to that. And please, the multiplier, if you want to set the multiplier higher, it will basically simply, if you set it to 2x, it will use double the margin that I am. Please only set that multiplier to 1, I would recommend, simply because that will only copy what I'm doing. And it will keep the risk, the same as what I'm doing. And if you set that multiplier too high, it can be a lot more risky that way. So please keep the risk managed for you guys. Don't deposit too much into copy trading. I don't want to set your expectations too high. Like I said, this is just a challenge account. But saying all that, let's get into it here and take a look at how we're doing. So as I mentioned here, we are up about 47% on the week. Now you can see we did start with $100, and it says we are up $52.79 here. So I'm not sure. I do keep 10% of the basically the profits from this copy trading. And it did deposit it into that copy trading account, it looked like. So that's why I think this is showing 47% and not 52%. Anyway, regardless, you can see win rate 76% here. If we take a look here, pretty nice P&L curve currently. Just making sure to lock in profits here. So 76% win rate. Let's go down here. Basically, the 18th down $1.28. Next day up 18.31, down $6.33, 9.79, 22.70, 7.26, and 4.77. And if we move on here, you can see what I was trading. Basically, Bitcoin 83% win rate. HNT we took a couple trades on there. It was basically 1. Now, one thing about this copy trading is if I go to add to a position, it doesn't let me add to a currently open one. So it simply opens a second one. That's why you'll see multiple positions when it was only 1 trade, basically. Anyway, so you can see here what we traded: TIA, APT, SUI, and then there were a couple others that we traded. Overall, I'm really happy with the results so far. The account's basically up 50% in about a week, which is pretty good in my opinion. But yeah, long ways to go yet to reach 1,000. So let's keep it up. Okay, now taking a look at the setups that I took here. Basically, for the first setup, basically what I'm going to be doing here is just reviewing it and seeing if I can improve in any way on this. And just going over what my general thoughts are here. So basically, the first trade that we took was CAT, which, zoom in here. Basically, there was this consolidation here, basically like this consolidation pattern. Now, typically, I don't trade patterns too often. Now, the deal is when the market is uptrending pretty hard, it's a little bit of a challenge, but when the market is uptrending, you can take setups that are less than ideal. Not usual ones you would take it, not usual ones you would take simply because the market is pretty forgiving, especially in hard uptrends, and that's why I took this setup. Now the challenge is knowing when to back off on those. Um, but here, as you can see, we had basically some sloped resistance here, basically an uptrend forming here, consolidation, and this support here. So basically just looking for a quick breakout here for the first trade. Now, first trade was 5% risk, so I was risking $5, which is 5% of the account. As you can see, this was the position details here. And we got this breakout here. Now, it did take a little bit longer than I liked. I went ahead and moved the stop loss up after we got this breakout here, simply because I wanted to keep the risk minimal as it was basically the first trade. And it took a bit here. If we zoom out farther here, and that's where I closed it. Hit our take profit. I think what time was this? About 4 o'clock in the morning over here. Basically hit our take profit level. I didn't actually have the TP set, I don't think. I just had an alert. Anyway, I woke up in the morning, was at the TP, so I went ahead and closed. So that was about $8. So the account was up 7% after fees, which is pretty good for the first trade, so up 7%. Second trade here, basically, I was looking at this range forming here on Bitcoin, and we basically had this deviation above the highs. Had this sell off here, basically this push back up, a bit of supply here as well, this range highs. And now the other thing I was watching was the heat map. There was a bunch of liquidity stacked up here, and we had filled some pretty heavy, actually they were stacked up around this area here, and this was a push up over the weekend. This was Sunday night, I believe. Filled all these limit sells in here and then sold off immediately. And then we got this slow push back up here. And a lot of times this is what will happen on Sunday evenings. You get this spike up into liquidity, sell off, and then you get that slow push back up only to sell off into New York Open. So I was looking for a pretty decent sell off. Now I don't think we got that far. It did take a bit for it to play out. But if you zoom out here, basically that one was $3.07 risk, and I was just looking for this pullback here. Keep on going here. Here is the details on it. Basically $500 size, position size, and we keep on going here. Basically, we had this sell off here, and I TP'd half here down at range lows. Now, I did add back to the position if we keep on going here. So I could have closed the whole position, but what I was looking for was a quick breakdown below. Basically, there was a 30-minute trend coming up here that I was looking to take profit on, but I wanted to close half here at these range lows. And I believe this was a sell off like on New York Open, if I believe. Yeah, 917, it was going into the New York Open. Okay. We go on here, basically had this bounce up here. I moved my stop loss down, and let me see here. Yeah, so on this bounce up here, I added back simply because market structure, you want to see a lower high form here. Also, it was kind of losing this 5-minute trend. I was looking for it to hold as a resistance. So I added back and moved the stop loss down, basically keeping the risk the same as when we had the position prior entry would have been around here with a stop loss above this high. That way, kept the risk the same, but still brought this stop loss down, but added some more size here, looking for a breakdown below this range low. We move on here, and stop loss moved down to 63.4. So you can see after we got the sell off here, I moved my stop loss down to 63.4 simply because I wanted it to break down instantly here. And if we got any sort of bounce, I did not want to get stopped out up here for whatever the risk was. I just wanted to keep it tight, immediately get this breakdown, and then close, which is exactly what happened. We got that quick spike down here, and I closed for, let's see how much profit that was. So that would have been like $10 in profit. So account was then up 17%, so pretty good so far. Moving on. Now this is where I come across the first problem. These previous positions here, these were good setups. These were solid setups for me to take that I was confident in. Now this one, it looks like pretty clean, but this isn't a normal one I would take. Basically $200 to $5 size, $6.50 risk. And I was shooting this breakdown here, and the time was 9:53 p.m. It was late. And this was over the weekend, I believe. Anyway, this basically, I don't normally trade something like this, to be honest, but I saw this clean breakdown and I thought Bitcoin was looking ready to pull back. So I went ahead and took a short here, tight stop loss, looking for sell off. But looking back on it now, I probably shouldn't have taken this setup simply because this is a strong uptrend. Sure, it looks like a breakdown, but it's over the weekend. Plus, a lot of these times, these things act as fake outs. So in hindsight here, I probably shouldn't have taken this trade. And if we move on here, you can see we were stopped out for $6.30. Now, so the risk was managed, which is the point of keeping our risk managed, even though if we take dumb trades sometimes, yeah, keeps their risk pretty small. So moving on. In hindsight, I don't think I should have taken this PopCat trade. But anyway, moving on. Something I'm going to look to improve. The whole reason I basically started this challenge was to try to challenge myself. I wanted to see if I can improve my discipline on the trades that I take, because it is something I was struggling with previously. I would end up taking not ideal setups. So I'm seeing if I can improve on that, and if I can make you guys some money in the meantime, and hopefully you can learn something from this as well. Kind of a win-win situation in my opinion. Anyway, let's keep going on here. Basically, the next trade I took was this Bitcoin long here. We were testing this 30-minute trend, which was holding as support on the way up. Very clean trend portrayal, basically entered on that 30-minute trend. I was looking for possibly a sweep of this low, but the deal is a lot of times these lows are front ran in strong uptrends, so I went ahead and entered right on this 30-minute trend. Basically targeting that 65K high, which if you're looking on the heat map, there's a lot of liquidity stacked up at 65K. So basically targeting 65K. Now, you zoom down here, position details basically, and then we got this quick spike up here. Now, the reason, as you'll see in this next picture, I closed here instead of 65K was simply because it's like a range high and there was a lot of liquidity stacked up. A lot of liquidity stacked up. We zoom out here. Actually, this was the Sunday evening. This was the Sunday evening push up, I believe. Yeah, this was a Sunday evening push up. That previous one I mentioned, kind of that previous Bitcoin trade, that was a little bit different. But this is the Sunday evening push up that I was talking about. Basically, if we look here on the heat map, they had a lot of limit sells stacked above price here. Now, on a weekend push up, with this much liquidity stacked up here, a lot of times it will not get through that. It will fill it and then it will sell off. It'll stall and then sell off going into Monday morning. So that's why I closed here, because I really didn't think it was going to get through this price action here, as well as there was like a 300 BTC sell, limit sell up here at 65K. I was like, there's no way it's going to get through this on a weekend. So went ahead and closed, locked into the profit, which I definitely liked, because that now put from that account went from $111 to $120. So account was then up 20% in a couple of days. Pretty good. And let's just zoom on here. You can see we got that sell off. Could not break above that liquidity and sold off like immediately. So that's why I was happy I took profits. Anyway, moving on here. So that one I executed very nicely. I'm happy about how I executed on that one. Don't think there's any way I could have really improved on it. Pretty happy with how I executed on that one. Okay, moving on here. Next trade here was a short on Bitcoin. And this was the liquidity that was stacked up here. We basically got a push above that, filled all those limit sells on the heat map, and then sold off here back into the range. A lot of times when you get that deviation above the previous high, that high's over here, you can't see it. But basically when you get that deviation above that previous high, fill that liquidity, a lot of times you get back below that previous low, especially like this initial breakout here, you get back below here, it's going to sell off at least somewhat to the downside. So I was figuring short here, stop here. I didn't put it above here because I wanted to get some more higher risk to reward, and I didn't want to take too much risk. Now this was more of a speculative trade because these uptrends are still intact. So yeah, technically, according to my system, it's an uptrend, so I probably shouldn't have shorted, but it's one of those trades where I have information from heat map, limit sells, break back down below, just simply looking for a quick sell off. More speculative, but something I'm still confident in taking, especially since it's starting to form a range, and that usually that first deviation ends up going to the other side of the range, or at least mid range. So that one was $500 size, $6 risk. Yeah, like I said, liquidity filled, hourly close back below the high, looking for equal lows down here to be tested. And moving on here, I closed early. So I ended up closing on a 30-minute trend. I don't have a picture of it here, but basically a 30-minute trend was around 63K, I believe. That was holding it on the way up. So I figured go ahead and close there because it wasn't looking like it was going to break down instead of waiting for that final target to hit. In these conditions, you just have to be quick to adapt. So it's like I could wait for the 30-minute trend to break down, but if you're seeing it's holding up, just lock in that profit and move on, wait for the next setup. There's plenty of opportunity out there. And lock that one in for, let's see here, short, close the in profit, testing 30-minute trend. Like I said, lock it in, wait for the next setup. And then the next setup I took was STX, basically $200 risk, $200 size, $7 risk. And it was breaking above the daily 200 EMA, and it had this a little bit of pullback here on low time frames, 15-minute time frame here. Nice support, as well as like this breakout, this down sloping, whatever, resistance. And I was quickly looking for a breakout of this consolidation and a push up. Especially since it was just breaking above that daily 200 EMA, which was holding as resistance. This is one of those trades that you can, in strong uptrends, this will pay off. You can take these kind of setups. Now, when it's more choppy price action, it could just end up chopping around. But in stronger uptrends, you can get away with these sort of trades as long as you keep your risk managed. Now, the deal is learning when to stop taking these type of setups in choppy conditions, because this will get you screwed. A lot of times in choppy conditions, you'll just see a sell-off back under here, stop you out, and then maybe rally and then sell off again, and so on. So you just have to know when to take these positions and when the conditions aren't ideal to take these. But if we move on here, I ended up tightening my stop loss to 178 after it broke out above this resistance here. So basically under this previous low here. And here's a picture of it. Basically 15-minute time frame, getting this breakout here. Quickly tightened it up because I wanted to keep it low risk. And in these conditions, you want to see a quick push up, immediate continuation in a strong uptrend. Otherwise, probably just going to chop around a bit. And also said, didn't trust BTC there, so I was keeping the risk low. And moving on here, there we go. Starting to go into profit. And I continued to let it run. And then I was taking a swing long on TIA. I don't know how you guys say it, but TIA, let's say. $200 size, risk was $8.40. It was starting to uptrend pretty nice. Flip this bit of resistance here, as well as this 30-minute trend, which was a very clean trend. Starting to flip it, not technically reclaimed, but I really like this setup here, especially with the strength it was showing compared to the rest of the market. Basically flipping this into support as well as this 30-minute trend, especially this 30-minute 200 EMA, which was held as resistance right here. Just looking for a push up, pretty decent push up here because it was getting some good momentum. And move on. And literally within, let's see here, 131, within half an hour, it started printing hard. Move on here, you can see I went ahead and closed STX in profit simply because I didn't like having both of them open at the same time. I wanted to lock in one, just lock in those gains for STX in case TIA got stopped out. So I went ahead and locked in STX, leaving TIA run because I thought it had more potential to the upside than STX at the time. And perfect continuation, closed half here and was letting the rest run and move my stop loss up below this low over here, simply because I want it to continue higher. I don't want it to retrace this entire pump here. And then next setup we took was HNT, basically reclaim of this 4-hour trend and 1-hour trend. So this one I was pretty confident in here because it was reclaim of the 4-hour trend. 1-hour trend was reclaimed as well in lower time frames. Yeah, pretty confident setup as it was reclaiming a bunch of key trends in the same area. And then I went ahead and closed TIA fully, simply because it did get a pretty decent push up here. I think it was like $6.40 area, and I just went ahead and closed the remainder of the position. Yeah, simply because I wanted to lock in the gains. Could I leave it run for a couple days? Yeah, probably. And it would it probably go higher? Yes, but I would rather lock in those gains on that initial push up, especially for a challenge account. If you're on your main account and you're swing trading, you can leave it run. But for this, I'd rather lock it in, move on to the next setup, and go from there. So I went ahead and locked it in, $17 profit. Yeah, very nice setup. And then I went ahead and added to HNT, so it was then size was $200, risk $16. So I did have a higher risk on HNT, which in hindsight I probably shouldn't have, but I was pretty confident in it, and especially coming off of this profit here on TIA, I felt like I could risk some more. In hindsight, I probably should have kept the risk a little bit lower, maybe more like $10 or something. Yeah, so maybe I should have turned back the risk a bit there. But if we keep moving on here, basically, this was another one I took. SUI, long scalp, was looking for a push above this 5-minute trend here. In hindsight, this is a trade I shouldn't have taken. It was $6 risk. Basically, I should have waited for a clear reclaim of this 5-minute trend instead of just trying to buy this breakout. Because it ended up just falling back below it right away. On the next hourly open, just immediately sold off. Move on here. You can see right on the next hourly open. I should have waited for a couple candle closes above the 5-minute trend, but instead I entered hoping to catch that breakout and push higher. Instead it sold off here immediately on the next hourly open, which was here. This is the 5-minute chart, but this was the hourly open. Immediately sold off, stopped me out. So in hindsight, this is one I should have avoided. So what I'm noticing here is these breakout trades are not ideal. So try to cut out those breakout trades. Now, in strong market conditions, breakout trades can be pretty nice. But what I'm noticing here is these breakout trades, yeah, probably should try to avoid. Now, some of them play out. What I'm noticing is when, like these two previous ones, STX and what was it? STX and CAP, those were both when Bitcoin and everything was like pushing higher. So those played out nicely. Now this SUI one was when the market was going more sideways. So this is when I should have just chilled out a bit more and probably not bought the breakout on this one. So in hindsight now, yeah, try to avoid this type of setup. Okay, HNT, I had closed it and re-entered to get some more copy traders in that had just joined. Basically, pretty nice level here as well. This 4-hour trend, looking for a push up here. Was still in this position, just holding it. TIA, I did take a long on TIA here. Now this one does bother me a little bit. I was pretty confident in this one, to be honest, but I did keep the risk pretty minimal because I had HNT open at the time. So we had this massive push up previous day that we caught, sell off here, and sweep of this previous low here. And if we had zoomed out, if I had a chart here of the daily time frame, this was a very key daily level, as well as like a 4-hour level. So it was just about perfect area to retest before continuation higher, as well as sweeping this liquidity with an immediate reaction. Pretty sweet setup here, to be honest. So looking for a scalp to the upside, and $3, 24-cent risk. Moving on here, I moved the stop loss up. This is what got me. I moved the stop loss up to 604, which is basically below this previous liquidity sweep here. After it pushed up, it went up to like the $6.25 area. And then that's when I moved my stop loss up. I should have kept it where it was originally, because if we move on here, I was stopped out of this trade. Basically, right around here, it made one last liquidity grab and then pushed up here to the $6.50 area, I believe. So I should have kept my stop loss lower, but I mean, I was keeping my risk managed, so it's just one of those. You can't win every trade, can't execute every trade perfectly. Not necessarily anything I could have improved on here. I could have kept my stop loss here, but also I was managing my risk. I wanted to keep risk really low here. So all in all, just one of those trades. You have losing trades. Just one of the losing trades. Not necessarily anything in hindsight, I would have changed. How I executed, I believe, yeah, what's right. So just one of those. We move on. And then HNT basically swept this Monday low. Was looking pretty sweet here on this 4-hour trend, looking for pushing the Monday high. Then I went ahead and added on this little breakout here. So $400 size, moved my stop loss up from this $6.85 area. Instead, moved it up here below this Monday low sweep because you don't want to see a break back down below this Monday low. If it did that, likely sells off lower. And moving on here, HNT was starting to print. Moved my stop loss up just right below these previous lows, just reducing the risk a bit more. Yeah, so we're still in this HNT helium trade. I'll just start calling it helium. Still in it, and that's just how I've been managing, moving my stop loss up, adding to it, seeing if we can finally get that push higher. And then APT basically had this key breakout here after a strong daily close. Nice breakout above Monday high, basically looking for it to have a quick push up here right after the daily open and hold this Monday high and continue higher, as well as my stop loss below this weekly open. Basically, these kind of breakouts, you want to see it hold this Monday high for continuation higher. You don't want to see it break back down below this Monday high. Pretty clean setup here. And if we move on here, moved my stop loss up after it pushed up here. And then I went ahead and just closed it after it had a spike up here to about 8:44, and I went ahead and closed simply because it was late. Wanted to get some sleep, didn't want to leave it run overnight, which was smart in the end because it ended up chopping around. So locked in that profit for about $5. Pretty good. Next one, Bitcoin's scalp long here. Off of this support and weekly open, looking for a push higher into 65K. 30-minute trend was also confluent in this region, which if we move on here, I moved my stop loss lower below this 30-minute trend. Basically looking for weekly open to hold because we got a sweep of this Monday high. If you're going to get continuation, you want to see this 30-minute trend and weekly open hold for a push higher. But then moving on, kept my risk 550, so pretty good. Moved on, and then I was stopped out of this Bitcoin trade today. Breakdown back below that 30-minute trend. And then that HNT trade, I went ahead, if we zoom out here, I went ahead and closed that HNT trade in profit simply because I don't want to just sit on this trade forever. It's just going too slowly. It's kind of low liquidity as well. I'd rather just lock it in now, wait for another setup. The market's kind of going sideways. Bitcoin's breaking down below key trends, kind of breaking down below that 30-minute trend, stuck in a range as well. So I'd rather just lock it in and move on to the next setup. So that's what I did with HNT. So ended up being profitable, not as much as I would have liked. But yeah, went ahead and locked that in. Like I said, you kind of have to just adapt and you have to decide when your risk is better other places instead of just keeping it stuck in one coin that's going sideways. So now that I closed, maybe it rips higher tomorrow. Who knows? Probably will, to be honest. And then the latest trade that I did place is this Pepe trade. This one is one of those breakout trades. So yeah, to be honest, probably shouldn't have taken this one now looking at it in hindsight. It is still going and in profit currently. We got this push off of this Monday high. Now, the deal with this is it's a breakout trade, kind of FOMOing in almost, but it has a lot of strength versus the rest of the market. It needs to break out here. Otherwise, I think it's going to sell off lower. 15-minute trend is like right around in this region, so breaking back down below, and it won't look that great. And this is a key daily level of resistance. So I'm trying to catch this breakout here, push off of this previous support, and a push higher above that daily resistance. Now, the reason I feel comfortable taking this trade, even though it's not an ideal perfect setup, is simply because I have a little bit of risk to play with. Since we did close that HNT in profit, that reduced our risk, locked in some profit as well, and removed that risk from HNT. So I do feel comfortable putting some risk on this trade here, even though it's not the ideal A+ setup, but it's the best setup that I see at the moment. There's not really a whole lot of other setups. The strongest coin that's holding up at the moment, as far, I think WIF is holding up better and pushing higher, but I think Pepe follows here. So that's the reason I took the trade. All in all, very happy with my performance so far. Hopefully I can keep this up. Hopefully market conditions stay pretty ideal. I want to see, get this account to $200 and then keep on moving it up to that $1,000 level that our target is. And like I said, if you guys want to join, please only deposit what you're comfortable with. My ref link will be in the description. Simply sign up with that ref link, deposit, and then simply search glitch_ here in the copy trading. It'll show up. Put whatever you're comfortable in with, set that multiplier to 1. And yeah, let it run. Also, just so you guys know, if you want, just DM me, send me a DM to get access to the Telegram after you sign up. I can get you access to that. And feel free to if you don't want to copy trade and simply want to take the setups when I post them if you want, or just take a look at the setups, feel free to do that when you join my Telegram. Just shoot me a DM to get access, as well as those of you actively trading on my ref link outside of the volume created from this copy trading. Those of you actively trading on my ref link, I will be doing a giveaway for you guys next month here, this coming month. It will be $200, $500, haven't decided yet. But if you are actively trading on my ref link, I want to make sure to get back to you because you guys support me. So if you guys want to support me, if you actively trade on my ref link, definitely helps. Gives me some more time outside of my work here, simply to focus on crypto and provide some more content for you guys. But like I said, $200 to $500 giveaway. I haven't decided exactly yet, but for those of you actively trading on my ref link, link will be in the description. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Let's see if we can continue to crush it here. And yeah, let's get it. See you guys next time. Peace.